So after years of mock, of ridicule, of vilification, of deplatforming, of depersoning, could the COVID unvaccinated finally be having their day? Yes indeed folks, here's something that popped up, and maybe it's a shape of things to come, maybe it's not, maybe it's nothing at all, but I found it a little bit interesting, and maybe you might too. It seems that people who have chosen, for various reasons, not to partake in the COVID vaccination situation, well, they've had to put up with quite a lot in the last few years, as I'm sure everybody would agree, in terms of pressures to conform, pressures to get on board. There's been obviously a lot of restrictions placed on such people. There's been a lot of criticism of such people. There's been a lot of scorn thrown at these people, and mock and ridicule, all of the above, and in abundant measure. But having come out the other side of the whole pandemic now, and I think we could all, well, at least the vast majority of us, would agree that that situation thankfully has passed and is done to all intents and purposes. Well, those small and they are, I suppose, by any metric, they're a minority, quite a big minority in some countries, especially Ireland here, where well over 90% of people, supposedly according to the government statistics, got vaccinated. Could there be a sting in the tail of all that? Could there be a silver lining to their cloud, if you will, in these post-COVID days? And if so, what is that silver lining? Well, I'd like to draw your attention, Exhibit 1, my lud, to our friends here at France 24. Now, let me just preface this from the get-go, that this France 24 is a mainstream, it's part of the mainstream panoply of publications and outlets. So you're going to have to view it and take it with a grain of salt, as in it's going to be always on a certain side of the fence, shall we say. But this is interesting nonetheless. Let's get into a bit of this. Tycoon's Unvaxxed Sperm auction. What? What the fuck? Taps into conspiracies. Yes, what does this all mean? Unvaxxed sperm. So you immediately see where this is going. A fugitive Chinese billionaire plans to auction, quote, unvaccinated sperm on an online platform rife with misinformation. Okay, sorry, straight away where like I said, you have to view this through the lens that this is a mainstream publication. So, of course, anything that's off the beaten track, anything that's not of its own club, will be, of course, a fringe, rife with misinformation, rife with conspiracy theory, all of those. You kind of, that's just usually how it goes. They'll poo-poo anything that's outside their club, if you like. Anyway, let's read on. With that in mind, let's read on, see if we can pick the bones of this apart. A sale that vaccine skeptics bill optimistically as a chance to buy the next Bitcoin. The sales pitch that sperm from uninoculated men will be in high demand and therefore fetch top dollar stems from widely debunked conspiracy theory that COVID-19 jabs cause mass infertility. Again, like I said, this is a mainstream publication, so you're going to have to kind of pick between the lines here. And like, yes, there's of course the mainstream and the scientific community and the mainstream will of course have pushed a certain agenda, a certain given wisdom as to do with the inoculation, with the jabs, with the various vaccines. So they're fully invested in this, and anybody who has in any way questioned what is a new and novel and experimental vaccine, anybody who questioned that, of course, was immediately branded a heretic and all that goes with being a heretic. As we all know, I mean, this is all old news, I don't have to tell you that. So, like I said, this is where, they're obviously going to be plugging that line, because this is the mainstream. They have to push the mainstream line. They're fully invested in it. All these things are basically mouthpieces in one shape or another for governments. That's what they are. You have to look at it from that perspective. Let's read on anyway. Gu Wangui. Look, my Chinese is patchy at best. Anyway, this guy Guo Wengui, I'm butchering that obviously, a tycoon exiled in the United States, who was recently arrested for alleged fraud. Well, that's not a good start. Is putting that pitch to the test with his much hyped auction slated for June on the fringe platform Getter. Of course, again, it's not mainstream, it's immediately fringe to these people, and should be avoided. You normally stay away from. Don't be looking over there. That's a dangerous thing over there. There be dragons over there. Quote, sperm and eggs from our fellow fighters will be auctioned on our Getter platform between June 1st and June 6th, Mr. Guo said in a live stream in February. The tycoon, a cult-like figure who is wanted in China and closely tied to Donald Trump's former political advisor Steve Bannon, claimed to have already stored nearly 6,000 eggs and, quote, a few million sperm from unvaccinated supporters. A few million sperm. What's that, like the drop? I think there's a lot of sperm per square inch, if you know what I mean. So a few million doesn't sound that much. Anyway, with the rates that sperm seems to be dropping in the male population, it could be significant, let's say. Right, anyway, let's read on Mr. Guo Gua or whatever. Quote, we will auction off the best sperm and eggs, including, of course, my own sperm. Well, of course, he said, adding that trading will be allowed in digital currencies and be open to all races and ethnicities. So it's an equal opportunities sperm auction and egg auction here. Good for you. I'm an equalist. I am an equalist. I believe in equality. It remains unclear whether the auction will go ahead following the arrest earlier this month of Guo, who faces federal charges that he defrauded thousands of online followers of some 1 billion. 1 billion, that's a... Are
you serious?
Yeah, that's no small fraud there. So okay, let's just say he's perhaps not the champion you might wish for. A flawed character. But still, anybody who falls foul of the Chinese government, are they all bad? Yeah, anyway, but the planned sale has generated buzz on Getter, where the tycoon supporters have hailed it as, quote, a new era for humanity. Okay, you might be slightly over-egging the pudding there, guys, but we do live in an age of messaging, so get your message out. Giving unvaccinated sperm or eggs not only is an honourable way to gain wealth, but also will save the future of humanity, said a Getter post that endorsed Guo. Okay, the post featured a photo with a hand-scrawled message: "Unvaxxed sperm is the next Bitcoin." Right, somebody scrawled a message with a sheet of paper, and I don't know how that's kind of relevant to really anything. Pure bloods. All right, go on, pure bloods. Quote, this auction plays off a broader false narrative that COVID-19 vaccines have harmed fertility. John Gregory, a health editor at Watchdog NewsGuard, told AFP. Well, again, you've got to take all of this stuff through the lens of the mainstream media. They're totally and utterly invested in the mainstream narrative. Now, I'm not saying they're right or wrong. What I'm saying is that this is very, very new technology and very, very new medical procedures. So there's no long-term studies on this. There can't possibly be. There couldn't be. So they're of course pushing this relentless line because they have to. They're all in on this now. They're totally invested. So I'm an agnostic, as I like to just stay on the sidelines and wait for things to develop and watch how things unfold, and then accumulate the evidence as it goes and make my own judgments accordingly. But of course, the establishment has to come out and push relentlessly their line, because they're totally invested in it. They can't possibly be wrong. at this stage. That would be an absolute calamity, if that was to become a thing. Anyway, look, let's read on with Mr. Guo, who seems to be currently in a bit of legal difficulty on other plans. Although if he got $1 billion out of a scam, that's some scam. Anti-vaccine misinformers pushed the claim, even in the face of an abundance of medical studies showing that the vaccines don't hurt male or female fertility. Well, I think, that's again, the jury's out on that one. That is the official line, but there are no long-term studies, so you can't really say this thing is cut and dried when the information isn't in. Quite simply, it can't be. Not enough time has gone by. Studies haven't been conducted for any length of time with any sample that you can extrapolate these things from. So time will tell, as the saying goes. Time will tell. But in the meantime, we've got auctions going on here. Guo, who goes by other names, including Miles Guo, himself is an adherent to the false claim. False according to mainstream media and to governments who pushed this treatment. Of course. The new federal state of China, an anti-Chinese Communist Party lobby group created by Guo, has also repeatedly made unfounded statements such as vaccines are a bioweapon. Well, again, for so long it was absolutely debunked from every mainstream outlet and every government and even the main social media platforms that it didn't come from a lab. It couldn't have come from a lab. It did, and then it was, I think it's commonly accepted now by all and sundry that it did come from a lab. It was manufactured. So again, you have to be careful with this stuff. You have to stand on the sidelines and watch and wait and listen and read and then, knowledge will come to you in due course. Anyway, Getter, a right-wing, okay, right, the buzzwords are coming thick and fast, a right-wing social media company, which the US media said was initially bankrolled by Guo, did not respond when asked whether it would allow the auction. In his live stream, Guo vowed to make struggling Getter the first global platform to trade sperm and eggs from unvaccinated people. He pledged to use, quote, scientific methods for verification, and said in a letter to an attorney, will be required to confirm that the traders are unvaccinated, without giving further details on testing or storage. Some Getter staff have expressed scepticism about turning the platform into such a marketplace, noting hurdles including legal restrictions on the sale of semen in other countries, Rolling Stone magazine reported. If Getter is to proceed, the platform will likely tap into the, quote, pure bloods, a shadowy global movement spawned by vaccine misinformation. All those people who said it came from a lab, those people with that misinformation. Oh, it did come from a lab. All right, okay. See, look, there's been more tosses and turns and ups and downs and backs and forths from this that really, I'm very kind of, I treat everything with a pinch of salt, and that's what's gotten me this far. Right, wrongly asserting, says France 24, that COVID-19 vaccines contaminate the body. Well, the answer is we don't know what it does. In real terms, we don't know. All right? We think we know. The experts think they know, but they don't really know. Not long term. The body adherents of the movement use online forums. These conspiracy folk, online forums to seek out blood, sperm, and even breast milk. All right, breast milk. All right, from unvaccinated donors. Profit from falsehoods, says France 24. The online chatter appears to have fueled the belief among vaccine skeptics that the sperm represents a lucrative financial opportunity. You see, for you unvaccinated out there, oh, you heathens. Fortune may yet smile on you, you heathens. The real money is in unvaccinated sperm. Said a post on Getter. Quote, it's the new white gold, it added, using the hashtag unvaccinated and proud. In another sign of interest, unvaccinated sperm available. Mugs and t-shirts have gone on sale on Amazon, on eBay. Alright, okay, there's money to be made in this from all angles. Mugs and t-shirts. All right. Indonesia's health ministry in February rejected a fabricated article shared on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, are they fringe too, I wonder? Are they right-wing fringe? Shared on Facebook and Twitter that said that the sperm of unvaccinated men, quote, will be highly valuable in the future. Now, there's one to watch if you're unvaccinated. You know, there could be money in this. AFP fact checkers reported. Yeah, again, be careful of the fact checkers. You know, sometimes their fact checking is a bit wonky. Another social media user suggested that if a, quote, sperm bank for the unvaccinated ever opened, he could get rich. It's only a precious commodity. If a person has bought into the false narrative that COVID vaccinations harms fertility, Gregory said, this auction fits with an established pattern where anti-vaccine misinformers, heathens, heretics sell products to profit from their false claims. Yes, so we live in a post-truth age. That's that's the truth. We live in a post-truth age where there's only the message, there's the narrative. Whoever is best, whoever is most successful at pushing their narrative, whatever that narrative may be, and it may be truth and it may be a version of the truth, it may be mostly the truth, but whoever controls the narrative controls the truth, as most people see it. And a lot of that in the last few years, a lot of that has been really going on, as we have seen from the whole COVID thing, from its inception, from it got going, right through the whole debunking of this lab leak theory, which was debunked and absolutely mocked and ridiculed by governments and by the scientific community, by the WHO. Everybody was saying that's absolute nonsense, and anybody who puts forward that idea is an absolute moron. Now, it turned out to be true. So, yes, there's been a lot. It was also with Fauci coming out and saying that, you know, and Biden coming out and saying that if you get vaccinated, you won't get COVID. Again, totally nonsense. But it was pushed as absolute truth. It was pushed as the truth. And most, I say, people who watch mainstream media and trust their government and trust organisations like the World Health Organization, they believed it. Well, why wouldn't they? I mean, these people wouldn't lie to me. But like I said, in the modern era, we live in a post-truth time. The only thing you can do as a sentient, functioning adult is to do your own research. Read the articles, watch all kinds of sources from all kinds of angles, and make your own decision. That's the best thing you can do, because you'll have a far greater chance of coming to a logical, coherent, reasoned position than just what you're force-fed. Because too often, what you see, what you read, what you hear in the mainstream media is not all that it seems.